I will call the Select Board meeting of October 11th, 2022 to order. Would somebody like to approve the agenda? Make a motion to approve the agenda?
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next is approval of the consent agenda. Did anyone have anything they wanted to pull out or comment on?
I'll move the adoption of the consent agenda, approval of the consent agenda. Second?
Is this where we make changes to the minutes?
Yes.
Yes, okay. On the,
Let-
line 384,
Okay.
mm, 348.
So I think we'll pull it out. Is that what,
Yeah.
I think that's generally what you do, is you say, I'd like to pull this from the
We'll pull
consent agenda,
minutes
and
out
we
and then we'll
discuss it
approve them
immediately after.
Separately after. So first, let's approve the consent agenda. It's
Gotcha.
okay, it's new to me too. So
didn't
we
know.
have a motion and a second. Others left, but all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
There it is.
All right, and so now, Izzy, what are
Yep,
your,
so 348, I've referenced a piece of legislation from the state legislature, and that's Act 127, not Act 37.
Act 127, okay. All right, is that the only thing? Would somebody like to motion to approve the minutes with that change?
I move. I second.
Excellent, all in favor?
Aye.
Right. Next we have citizen comments. Is anyone here for something that is not on the warrant agenda? Come on up and state your name for the record, please.
Leon Smith.
Okay, Leon, 2 minutes.
Yep, I will be exceedingly brief even for myself. I sent some correspondence to Kathleen. I had back-channeled a little bit with Brian about some issues regarding some of the town properties in Means Woods, which I intend to address with the Means Woods trustees. But separate from that, I do have a concern in the way that the Parkers have posted their property in such a way that it appears as though the town's right-of-way, legal right-of-way through the end of that driveway is now off limits to the many pedestrians and bikers and that use that. I think it needs to be made clear and kind of delineated what the width of that legal trail is and what the rights are of the public in use of that. I point out that there are some items, I don't know if they're construction related, also blocking that area. The Malcolms have always been fine and people hooking around. I spoke with Nancy, she's kind of waiting some sort of a response from folks as well because she knew I would bring it up. The second is there's also some trails on that property that are connected through to the TAM that are done by mountain bike. In posting that property, are those trails now open to the public? If they are, it moots the trespassing so I'm just kind of looking at some clarification as what's the status with those trails and whether there's any agreement with the town for access to them as it comes from the town lands. So that's all I have at this time.
Thanks.
I'll follow up with Malt and the Addison County
Okay.
like group.
Okay. Is anyone else here for citizen comments? Anyone in the audience? So, this can be
Quiet
audience.
online too, yeah.
Wow.
All right. Next we have Chief Hanley. An update on police dispatch issues.
Oh, dear.
My sentiments exactly. Yeah, this is going on and on and on. Right at this very point, our dispatch was moved from Westminster to Williston, and we've seen a vastly improved level of service. There were some real issues in Westminster for a lot of reasons, which I won't get into. But that's just a Band-Aid because they still want us off the system. Their objective is to shed everybody they're dispatching for and get off the system. Now, there was a dispatch committee that, I don't know what happened to it or who was on it, that was done earlier this year that decided they were going to go to regional dispatch and not try to charge people for service. I think we've talked about that. We were given 90 days to get off the system. Well, 90 days have come and gone. We've got nowhere to go. It appears as though in their haste, the state's haste, to shed people from dispatch, they just put a bunch of money on the table to be grabbed by whoever. 11 agencies in the state have been awarded money, but that hasn't fixed the problem. For instance, one recipient is receiving $750,000, is only picking up one agency from DPS, from the state police. Just one. And they're getting $3 million for their regional dispatch. Another agency was awarded $500,000 and is picking up only 4 agencies off of the state police. Another agency is being awarded $2.4 million and is only picking up 3 agencies from the state police. Another agency, $400,000, is picking up 1 agency. This is of the $6.5 million that's being doled out. So if you're doing the figures in your head, we're getting to the bottom line here. 2 agencies that were already dispatching, the Rutland County Sheriff, they're picking up 32 agencies, but they're mostly fire and EMS from Rutland County. They're not going outside the county. The Orange County Sheriff, at $120,000, is picking up 12 agencies. So if you do the math, you'll see that 9 agencies are collectively picking up only 21 of the 100 and some odd agencies that are currently dispatched by the state police, an average of 2.3 agencies each. And that pretty much concludes the $6.5 million. So right now, there are a number of agencies who have nowhere to go. At least 17 in my count, a number of police departments, including us, Virgins, Bristol, Northfield, and some others, were not picked up by any of these regional dispatches. The plan that was put out earlier this year, that's been revised a couple of times, everybody was supposed to be picked up by a dispatch agency at our own cost. This is not free anymore. We're going to have to pay for this. So some of us are still stuck with the state police, whether they like it or not, because we have nowhere else to go. That is where we are now. I had a conversation last week with Chief Thomas from the Shelburne Police Department. He says they might be willing to pick us up for those hours that we don't dispatch ourselves, and that's predominantly the overnight shift between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. We dispatch for ourselves the rest of the time, so it's not an issue. We need to talk about that. I don't know how much it would cost, maybe $35,000 to $50,000 a year to do this, to cover this dispatch, which we don't pay for now. But we don't know when that's going to take over. This whole thing has just been a mad rush. There was a regional dispatch committee that began their meetings July 27th. They've had 11 meetings to date. A number of the meetings, they didn't have a quorum, so they couldn't do anything. This committee was the one that was supposed to design the regional dispatch. They were supposed to come out with the plan and make sure every agency that was being shed by the state had a home to go to. That committee isn't due to give their report until December, and they are nowhere near finished. Speaking with the chair, Paul White, who's the chair of that committee. So before they came out with a plan, they doled out all this money without a plan. So we're back to 1970, where everybody's in it for themselves here.
Right.
I mean, that's what it is. It's just, they've planned these dispatch agencies that were supposed to relieve the state police, but they haven't picked up everybody. There's a number of orphans out there like us who don't have anybody to do it.
Do you sense that there will be a second tranche of money to cover the agencies that didn't get picked up by these guys?
No, the second bunch of money, the other $4.5 million, is supposed to go to the agencies that got the first award to improve their dispatch. Now, you know, we were asked if we wanted to be a dispatch agency, and I said, it will take me a year to do the engineering and planning and future, trying to get people to do this job. I can't do this in 30 days.
Yeah.
The grant notice was put out in the end of August with a due date of the end of September. That's 30 days. This is significant engineering. Everything from how do I connect my radio with somebody far away? How do I connect my telephones? How much money is going to go into that? There's a lot of those kind of engineering and planning that needs to go into this. I don't know what the call load is for this agency or that agency. I have no idea. How can I even consider putting in a grant and just taking a bunch of money that's on the table and then hoping it's enough to do what I have to do with it? I don't operate that way. So that's,
Sadly, that's what everyone else did, and
there was money on the table.
and the bag is empty.
It was,
yeah.
it was money on the table that was dispersed. There was a competitive type grant that, I don't know what criteria they used to award these. I just can't see somebody getting, the intention of this was to relieve the state police of dispatch. So one agency gets $750,000 and takes one agency away from the state police.
Is this part of a move to reduce the subsidy to the Vermont State Police for local municipal policing?
Yeah, they want to get out of anything having to do with municipal policing.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still going to do their own policing in the towns that don't have the police.
They are.
If that was the question.
That was kind of the question. I remember when Waterbury Center gave up their police department to,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, eventually, the goals change every time a commissioner changes, so I'm not really sure where it is now. But eventually, they'd like to get out of municipal policing and leave that to some regional organization to do it. I mean, maybe it's the time to consider regionalization. Now is not the time to do it, because we don't have any plans. We don't know even how. The problem with these dispatch agencies, there's no governance. You are going to pay somebody to dispatch for you. You're going to have to contrive some sort of a contract. My issue with the state police when they wanted us to pay was, I'm happy to pay for dispatch. I don't like it that much, but I'm happy. But I want a performance contract. When our service is lousy, I want some recourse. And that was, no, we're not going to do that. You're stuck with what you get because you're getting it for free. Even if you pay for it, it's free, I guess, according to them. So this program was also supposed to reduce the state police costs for dispatching, which is one of the other objectives of that, and pass that cost along to 200 and some odd towns. I mean, that's really what it is in essence.
Yeah.
What would it cost us to dispatch for ourselves? I'll give you just an off-the-thumb thing. We'd have to increase our dispatch budget by probably $350,000. We can't do that. That's a lot of money to hire 3 more full-time dispatchers, put money in for overtime, put money in for, all the other stuff, the personnel costs.
When we think about Bristol and Virgins as well, and maybe consolidating all of those dispatch existing personnel into a 24-hour call center.
Yeah, the chief in Bristol tells me if they have to be paying $25,000 or $30,000 a dispatch, they could conceivably just close the police department and let the state police do it, because they just don't have the wherewithal in their budget to do that. If we're talking
That's not what the state police want.
If we're talking what we pay for dispatch now, for 2 full-time dispatchers and a number of part-time dispatchers to keep us going 16 hours a day, and now we're going to add 3 more full-time people with the benefits and, $120,000 a year per person, add money for the overtime, yada, yada, yada. This goes on and on. It's a lot of money. And if we were going to pay half of that, and the other 2 towns could contribute half, I don't think they can do it. I know Chief Merkel had told me the same thing. We can't pay $200,000 for dispatch. I mean, we couldn't do it. I mean, if we had to add $200,000 or $300,000 or $400,000, that's beyond what we could do. So the problem is Addison County is Addison County.
Right.
We are what we are,
Yeah.
and yet we still have demands here 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. We're trying to hire right now part-time dispatchers to cover us on Sundays, the day and the evening shift on Sundays, because they don't want to handle admin calls. So any call that's not an emergency where you have to, essentially anything that's not a 911 call, they don't want to handle at all. Sundays, we are very busy with walk-ins. I got people turning in pharmaceutical drugs and needles. DCF is using the building for visitation. We put homeless people in there when we can't find a place to put them. So the building is busy all the time. And that's why we need to pick up the Sundays, because otherwise the calls would go to a voicemail somewhere for somebody to answer a couple of days later. I can't deal with that. I just don't want our department to be like that. That level of service is awful, and we shouldn't do that. So that's where we're at now. Stay tuned. I'm going to talk with Chief Thomas to see what he's got or what he can do for us, if anything at all. I asked him if he has capacity. They only dispatch for 2 police departments that don't work 24 hours a day, which is another thing with the state police. After 2 in the morning, we're the only police agency they dispatch for. The rest, they're just monitoring 911 calls for a bunch of rural fire departments. They're not busy. My daughter-in-law is a dispatcher up there. She tells me we're not that busy. We can take all the calls that we can take, but they're coming from on high. They don't want to do that. They want to shed everybody. So that's where we're at. We're trying to fix the broken problem that we have now. And
It seems kind of ridiculous when you already have the infrastructure and the systems in place to just disband it and say, here's some money, can you figure out a patchwork to replace this thing that we've got?
this was very Dunkirkish. Get off the beach and leave the wrecks behind.
Yeah.
That's what it was. I mean, that's what it was. There was no planning in this. They have a dispatch planning committee that they gave the money out before the planning committee came up with anything. They don't know they don't have any research on the number of calls, they don't have any way to research any of that. They were supposed to divvy this up, come up with a plan that showed that everybody was gonna be picked up by somebody. Which agency could handle the extra calls, which agency couldn't, and they would divvy everything up, and that didn't happen. They put a bunch of money on the table, 30 days to grab it, they grab the money's gone, and we still don't have a home.
This is disheartening.
I tease the guys up in Chittenden County, say, I'm gonna stand at the end of the exit there at Taft's Corners with a sign, take us home and answer our calls for us.
Yeah.
You know, but all kidding aside, it is a serious problem. We need to have our calls answered and do it fairly professionally. And we are not set up to do that, either staff-wise or otherwise. Dispatchers should be dispatchers. They shouldn't be doing anything else because it's too long a thing to tell you what goes on with dispatchers as far as the responsibilities they have. So, here we are.
The chief you named, is that the Shelburne? chief?
Yeah, Mike Thomas.
Okay.
Yep. Him and I spoke last week. He's willing to talk about it and consider it. I almost feel like I should be doing a competitive RFP like I put out for police cars and things and see who's out there and who can do it. But the low bid is not always the best bid. And Shelburne is close enough to us to have at least some knowledge of the Middlebury area.
Right.
As opposed to going to St. Johnsbury or Windham County or one of these others who don't know where anything is. I think Shelburne, we have a close enough relationship with the county that we're good. Rutland, I understand, is not willing to take on anybody out of the county. They're focusing mainly on fire and EMS and the sheriff's department, their own sheriff's department. Clearly have picked up a lot of EMS and fire departments.
So the sheriff is already a county level operation. Is this the kind of thing that they have the competence or interest in engaging
Not right
with?
now, not right now.
Yeah.
Nor do they have the facility or that it would be a fresh start for them.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't think he's just interested in whoever the sheriff's gonna be is to even take this on. You know, I worry about the long-term evolution of this is when you get into somebody else doing it for you, how long are we gonna be doing it for them? And one day, do we get one of these letters in the mail saying, you know, everybody out of the pool?
You got 30 days to
You
find
got
something
30
else.
da's to find another dispatch. So that always concerns me in the background. At least here, it's our responsibility, we do it. I mean, we pick things up. We've grown dispatch for the past 30 years. We used to dispatch just during the day. And the old stuff, it went to the Middlebury Inn or the funeral home. That's a long time ago. But the state police used to do it, and they said they were too busy and we needed to expand. Our dispatch went to 7 at night, and they said, it's too busy, you're overwhelming us here. So we hired a full-time dispatcher in the evening. And then came Saturdays, and we had to expand into Saturdays because they couldn't handle Saturdays anymore. And now they can't handle us at all. So that's where we're at. So stay tuned. Yes, Lindsay, I'm sorry.
Bristol and Virgins have in terms of dispatch?
They don't.
They don't at all?
The state police dispatches from 24 hours a day.
Okay.
Is Virginia's 24 hours now?
No. They've not been 24 hours. I think they work 18 or 20-hour shift.
So,
The closest dispatching agency is Shelburne for us?
Yes, yeah,
That's the closest for us. Okay.
Yep.
and we're the only dispatching agency in the county?
we are.
We are not right.
Well, other than MREMS, which is doing
Right.
call center things and stuff like that, and EMS and fire. We're it. Even the sheriff gets dispatched by the Rutland County Sheriff.
Huh.
It's an old agreement that Don Keeler had made with the sheriff down there, and they set up, it's dispatched over cable lines or something. I'm not sure what it is, but they only work during the day, and they usually only have 1 or 2 deputies working. So, not a big deal, yeah.
Somebody send out the carrier pigeon.
Oh,
Yeah, the big thing for us is keeping the station open when it needs to be open, and we're finding that Sundays, especially in the winter parking ban season, I don't want somebody looking for their car to go into a voicemail someplace and get it 2 days later. I mean, we gotta be more responsive than that. As I said, DCF uses us, everybody uses us, the building on Sundays. The community room is used a lot.
How many staff do you have in the building on a Sunday?
Usually just, it would just be 1 dispatcher.
It would just be the dispatcher.
Yeah,
and they
there's
would-
officers working, but they're on the road. They may be in there
Oh, I
doing
see.
reports, and
Okay,
they may
plus
be
the
on a
2
case.
who are on.
But they're on, yeah, they're always
Okay.
working. There's always at least 2 on
So
duty.
they'll be in and out, and the
Yeah,
dispatchers?
yeah.
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, and just every so often, we'll find a person out there at night who needs a place, and we tuck them into the community room for the night till we can find a place to put them in the morning. But again, it's just what we do.
Oh, thanks for all the great solutions.
Yeah, I wish I did. I wish I had them. I
I
wish I
know.
could
No,
wave
I
my hand
totally-
and the magical dispatch fairy had come down and fix things. But we knew this was coming. We knew that pay for dispatch was coming. The state police have been after this for years.
Are some of the folks who've taken this on non-municipal entities? Are there private folks who think that this is a viable business?
The only private folk is MREMS. There's
Okay.
2 sheriff's departments, Wyndham, which is only taking 2 people,
Mhm.
Orange County, which has taken some fire departments and things over in Orange County. The rest of them, Chittenden County is creating their own governance project they've been working on for years, the Chittenden County Public Safety Authority,
Yeah.
which is going to create a dispatch for Chittenden County agencies.
Uh-huh.
And they're not interested in Addison County agencies.
I'm sure.
So they're going to end up taking all the police departments up in Chittenden County, Milton to Essex to all those, everybody but the state police. The rest of them are St. Johnsbury, it's a police department, they're taking 1 agency.
So there's a ton of towns that have nowhere to go. We're not alone in this.
Yeah. When you look at the numbers that they're picking up,
Yeah.
when the state police saying we're shedding 108 agencies, and I don't know how I could add those numbers up really quick, but it's nowhere near 100. I think it's maybe 60 agencies, and most of those are volunteer fire departments. The ones that don't really cause havoc in dispatch because they just don't get any calls, or you rarely get them. So, that's where we are, folks.
I just have a naive question. You dial 911 anytime, where does it go?
It'll go to one of 6 911 centers. From here, the calls are supposed to go to Williston. If Williston is busy, it'll go to one of 5 others.
Okay.
Either Montpelier Police Department, which has one, the Shelburne Police Department, or Westminster, which is basically defunct.
So how does our dispatch get involved? They don't get involved in any of that?
Yes, the call gets transferred to
Gets
us.
transferred to this?
Yes.
And
They
So
don't-
somebody
they-
answers that someplace else and transfers it?
Yes.
To whoever's monitoring our phones?
Yes, we answer that. And they stay on the line until somebody picks it up.
So what's the difference between something that's police and something that's fire? Or something that's ambulance?
Well, if it's fire, it comes to us anyway.
Okay,
So if somebody's house is on fire and you call 911, we answer the phone
okay,
and tone out the fire department.
okay.
If it's an EMS call, they'll send it to MREMS. Or sometimes they'll send it to us and we go with MREMS. It all depends on what's going on. Sometimes they'll send it to both places.
Okay.
Okay.
Big cities do this with more than,
Somehow.
somehow with one center.
You're right. This is a very antiquated system we have here, and the studies show that it's antiquated. There was a study, John Flowers was interested in it. I told him I'd bring him a bunch of paperwork. But there was a study in 2020. The governor created a statewide interoperability communication plan.
There you go.
Created a commission, but it's never appointed anybody to the commission.
Yeah.
There's nobody on it.
Just sitting there.
Go to the website, you'll see there's blanks. There's nobody there. So that's been over 3 years, and nobody's on this commission, which was the forerunner of all this, which was supposed to do all the groundwork and organization for organizing a statewide communication system, which would needed trunked systems, and there's a bunch of technical stuff that go with that. But that's never gotten off the ground. So here we are at the end. And I hate to bring that up because it's budget time and it gives me the creeps to have to think about this, especially when I have no idea what this is gonna cost. I can't give you a figure. I'm guessing just from what other people are paying in other places for the hours that they would dispatch, it's gonna be between $35,000 and $50,000 a year. Yeah, it's the best I can do at this point. I'll know more when I talk to Mike and see what he's got to offer.
It's a lot less than 3,000.
200, yeah, 200, 300.
Well, when the state police were looking for people to dispatch and they were throwing out figures for Barry City, which has their own dispatch 24 hours a day, and they were saying, we can do you for 150,000, the chief up in Barry said, I'll close my dispatch and let you guys take it. It's a lot cheaper than what we're paying for.
Yeah.
And that whole suggestion went out the window.
Seemed that there'd be a whole lot of money to be saved if the state undertook the whole thing.
That's the history of this. That's why
Because as
they,
you said, your daughter-in-law is not that busy. You
no.
would like a dispatcher to be not that you want to wish anything on them, but you would think you would have a design that a dispatcher would be busier and
Right.
Then-
The-
then
the
that-
right
there's a lot of
number
lost time.
Available at
Yes.
any time.
Right.
Yeah.
There is capacity there. I mean, you got a snowy day and you got accidents on the interstate, they're very busy.
Right.
They're just going call to call to call to call,
Right.
taking 3 or 4 calls at once for the same crash. So it does get busy, and there needs to be some plan to cover the worst times, which during the slower times, you're slower. It's just the way it goes. You're the Maytag repairman sometimes, and sometimes you're not. I don't know.
Great reference.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I keep you appraised. That's why I keep coming here, just at least tell you how the soap opera is going with this. But,
Appreciate it.
yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you, Chief.
All right, next we have approval of quit claim deed for the Churchill property located at the east end of Forest Lane.
Oh, thorn in my side.
Why is it a thorn in your side?
Isn't this the folks that built fencing onto town land and?
Yes,
Did we
yeah.
talk about it a few months ago?
Yeah, we did. We
Yeah.
approved it in July, I think, and this is the,
This has been going on for 2 years, so.
And we did not receive a citizen's petition, so the next step is to approve signature of the quitclaim deed.
yeah, and so this came up, this is the third meeting, when we have not had the property owners show up for any of these meetings.
They've never been here.
Oh, they were here way back when we did it the first time, and we didn't, and then we
Oh.
found that there wasn't enough property covered by the easement deed, so we increased the amount of property.
And is there a fee? Are we?
Yeah.
they're-
Okay.
And they're paying all of the expenses
all
for the
expenses plus
publication. all expenses.
$15,000
Oh,
or something?
Okay.
I'll move to authorize Kathleen Ramsey, duly authorized agent, to sign the quitclaim deed for the Churchill property located at 1 Forest Lane.
Anyone want a second?
You want to do that?
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Very reluctant. Okay.
Nothing to do now.
The terms written in it were good.
Yeah, they paid a little bit.
Yeah.
Just build a fence.
I don't like
Build a
the,
fence, build a garage, anywhere you want.
asking
Ask the
forgiveness
town.
rather than permission.
Next, we have the final report from the Policy Review Committee and acceptance of updated policies. Kathleen, should I read through all of this? Or-
I think for brevity, we have our hardworking policy review committee of Gary Baker, Donna Donahue, Chris English, and Beth Dow did a fantastic job going through our, we called Yale policy book, and culling out ones that just were not current, not needed, and recommending what should be retained and what could be excised. So you have it before you. It's on the website for the first time ever, all of our policies in one nice document. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Did anyone have anything they wanted to?
I'm curious about the history of this review committee. Was this a creation of the select board
It was a creation of the select board.
without any select board members on it?
Well, way back when Gary and Donna were on the select board.
Very good. Okay.
They've been hard at work since 2014 on this, and
Okay.
kind of push came to shove with Chris retiring on Friday.
Who's not gonna stay on?
Yeah, and he was the one that was responsible for all of the updates.
Okay.
And putting this into one clean document.
Did anyone have anything else on it, or?
I just, a question, so the next thing is, we have a meeting where we formally adopt it, and that's just another vote. Okay.
Right. We're just accepting it.
So I'll move to accept the Policy Review Committee's final report and draft update of the Select Board policy book.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Alrighty. We are 2 minutes over. Dan?
Okay. I move to approve the total expenditures in the amount of $496,828.84, consisting of $383,306.61 for accounts payable and $113,522.23 for payroll for the period of September 28th, 2022 through October 11th, 2022.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Righty. That's it. Board member concerns? Farhad?
I have no concerns, I'm tired, I wanna go home.
I want to go home.
It's been a tough day. I'm good.
Izzy?
Nothing. I've just been really excited to connect with people across the community as they've just been welcoming me into this position. So, love to connect with more people as well.
That's great. And by the way, this could be an all-time world record of the shortest meeting, so
Yeah, don't get used to
Don't
it.
get- I was just gonna say, don't get used to it.
If you have a meeting this short, the next one
We
is
should
gonna
have the
be
discussion on
trash.
your check warrants for like 10-15 minutes.
what's that?
We should have discussion on your check warrants for a little bit.
Yeah. Tell me more about that weird Comcast bill.
Yes, we could have a long discussion. I didn't even remember it till about 4:45, so I came here and did it before. That's really a good time to do them, though.
Sure.
Yeah.
Andy, do you have anything?
I don't think so. Except on the library board, we review all of our policies on a rolling 3-year plan, which seems better than getting 50 newly edited ordinances once at a time. I think that maybe if we were a little more proactive on this, we could do it kind of in a piecemeal annual fashion instead of every 8 years.
Are
Well, look
you-
at the
are you
positive side, we got
volunteering
rid
for
of-
I am perhaps volunteering. I have been on the library governance committee and I kind of enjoy legalese.
Look at the upside here. Would we got rid of 90-some policies?
That's nice.
I like it. Great idea.
Yeah.
I would just, I had forgotten that Chris is retiring on Friday, and I wish he was here, but he's not, and just want to thank him for all of his years of fabulous service to the town, and wish him best on his future endeavors, so.
He's staying local, right? Or is he moving?
Yes.
He's-
Is he doing a podcast?
He is available to do podcasts.
Okay. Dan, do you have anything?
I just have a question. I know we probably don't have an answer, but Colonial Drive, are we going to pave that soon? You know, Kathleen, it's just,
Oh.
Well, I hope so.
Well,
this project
The-
has been
Just
going
finished
on
the
forever.
curbing.
the hot mix plant closes usually the second week in November, so we have about a month. They have about a month. I would say sometime in the next month.
I'll bet they'd love to have it done anytime now.
I imagine.
It's just been a long process.
Oof. The curb looks nice.
The new curb does look like. It's, actually,
Okay, I don't have anything. Would somebody like to
We'll
make a
get-
motion to adjourn?
We should get an update on that from Dan. Is there an update in his, I haven't looked at the,
He said that he was going to update us further on Thursday.
okay,
Oh, okay.
There's an infrastructure committee meeting.
Okay.
second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
When we move.
Aye.
Aye, adjournment. It's
Aye.
over.
It's done.
Thanks, MC.